Hello, everyone. It's time for the Buck and 2MC show. Let's start off with the Blue Water Climate Control commercial.
People always ask, where did we get the name Blue Water Climate Control? When a Navy ship casts off lines, exits the harbor, and loses sight of land, that's blue water sailing. It takes a team of people to do that. Tireless work, focus, and attention to detail. So much of starting a business is just like that. After it's done, you get filled with deep satisfaction for accomplishing something, and it's quickly followed by, now the real work begins. We're Blue Water Climate Control.
Hello again. It's just me again. I couldn't even raise Alexis and Alex. Apparently, the restaurant business is kicking their butt. They didn't even answer me today, which tells me they're too busy to even look at their phones. I have worked in a bar many, many years ago in college. I fully know what that job entails. I can't imagine owning one and managing it on top of all that. So y'all are stuck with me tonight. Let me start running the chat so I can see what you're saying. Beth is here, Renee, Donna, and Credence. My regulars are here. I love it. How happy was everybody to finally see a schedule for the Lady Vols? I know everybody's been waiting and waiting and waiting. And it looks like there's still one game to come. You could, if you read the release, it said there'd be another non-conference game added in November. I think that spot was what was holding this up. And I think all of this, the rest of this has probably been set for a while. And that game is still being worked out. It will probably be, it's not going to be a big name. I mean, those contracts would already be done. It's probably somewhere to put that. They've got a gap of, let's see, they host USF. That'll be a tough game in Knoxville on November 15th, and then host Texas on November 21st. So they're probably looking for a game to slip in between those two and not go 6 days between games. That would be my guess looking at this schedule. Unless it somehow, no, I don't think the exhibition game is November 3rd, Southern Illinois, November 10th. I'm scrolling to my phone looking at it. So if you're going to have it in early to mid-November, it's probably going to land somewhere in there. I guess other possibility. Now you got a Wednesday game where you're hosting Southern Illinois, and then you play Friday at UCF. It'd be another good game. So yeah, you're not going to put it there. But there's one more to come. But I know everybody is happy, including Patches, who can't wait for all the post-game Zooms to get this schedule in hand so we can actually see what's going on. Donna, it won't be Carson Newman. You cannot play a lower division school in your regular schedule unless you want to just torpedo your net. I was going to say RPI. Carson Newman would be, they're not adding an exhibition game. They're adding a non-conference regular game. Looks like the exhibition game will be Georgia College. And for those who don't know, if you want to have an exhibition game, it has to be with an NAIA or Division II, even could be a Division III, but it can't be a Division I school for your exhibition game unless you just want to do that. And I didn't even think about that until I just started talking to myself here. That could also be a possibility, though it probably wouldn't come. It was not going to come in November. It would come in October. But if two Division I schools wanted to play each other, they can in a quote scrimmage or exhibition type game. But the rules are no publicity, no media, no photos, no anything. Tennessee has done that. I think Tennessee has traveled to Asheville to play. Kelly did that a couple of years ago. I know Holly did it. You can have some really good matchups in late October of where both head coaches just agree that they have to. They agree and they have to by NCAA rules. You cannot publicize that game. You can't have spectators. You only have team personnel. And I don't even see box scores from it. I'm sure they keep a box. So schools do it if they really want to get some real top-notch live action early to really see where they're at. and it doesn't count. Obviously, it's an exhibition. So the best thing to do is at least have one, and that would appear to be Georgia College, where you have fans in there. You go through the procedure of player introductions. Though I don't think they do the big thingies for the exhibition games. It's been so I can't remember because there wasn't an exhibition last season. It started late. So we still have one little gap in the schedule, and I believe the release said it would probably come in earlier mid-September, mid-November. Adam, that was not a contract with it. Adam said, I thought we had a contract with Indiana since we went there. That was just an added game in a pandemic. Last year was just so weird. Indiana had a cancellation. Tennessee had a cancellation. So it worked out for them to play each other. That was just a one-off. Now, of course, both coaches probably like the idea of establishing a home and home, but sometimes that takes a year or two. Here we go, Patches, to get that set up, just to find an open spot on both teams' schedule. So that was not a home and home. That was just we got an open spot. We don't want to sit around not playing. You got an open spot. Let's do this. I mean, that was all last season where Tennessee had to scramble. And, one opponent, the opening opponent for Tennessee, if you recall, canceled their whole season. Hopefully we're not going through that again. Credence says maybe Notre Dame. I think the Notre Dame series is on hold for now. It was going to restart, and then you had the pandemic and a coaching change, and I just think I'm not sure that. I mean, I'm not saying it can't come back, but I think it's on a pause right now. Indiana would make a lot of sense actually, and I think it would be a great series, but it's not going to start this season, because that was not a home and home. It was just an unusual situation. That was a long explanation. Sorry about that, Adam. Let's see. Denise said, hi, y'all. Restaurant is tough. I worked all weekend myself, so finally a Wednesday off. Yeah, I mean, there's no days off, particularly if you're a sports restaurant. I mean, you can't. Saturday's your big college football. Sunday's NFL. Monday's Monday night football. It's just – It is a grind. It is hats off to everybody who does that, because it is incredible to do that for a living, and particularly in this climate when people are being a little weird. At least we finally have confirmation of the Las Vegas tournament. It is the South Point Thanksgiving Shootout. They will play Kansas on the Friday after Thanksgiving. That's November 26th. And then Oklahoma State on November 27th. So 2 games back to back. Interestingly enough, before they leave for that, they will play Texas in Knoxville on Sunday. So Tennessee's basically joined the Big 12, what's left of it anyway, this season, with Texas, Kansas, and Oklahoma State, all 3 in a row. It's nice to have Stanford here. There's a tough schedule. I mean, Stanford, UConn, Texas. They go to Virginia Tech. It's always good to go on the road and play a team. UCF in Orlando, and then USF back in Knoxville. Sorry, I know my dogs are misbehaving. I got thirsty. See, I need Candace. I need Candace to be great, but Candace is a little busy. I need Alexis here to break it up so I don't have to talk the whole time. Make sure I'm not missing any other questions. We need a home with an Ohio school for Jordan to get our home game. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we got to Ray's senior year to get one in. So for Jordan, I guess it'll have to be next year, because I'm not aware of. It'll be whatever Tennessee's adding to the schedule. It will be a home game, so it would not be a homecoming game. And obviously, Tamari, same position, need to get her home to North Carolina for that game. I'm glad they were able to get Ray. I've been on the Zooms. I had a long one today, and she did this the entire time. Yeah, Patches. I know. Everybody wants to see Patches. Jessica said I was able to visit Lex at Tap 40 Saturday. Jessica, how's she doing? She's. I mean, that's just got to be. I don't know. I couldn't do it. Patches has to work long hours to groom your. She does. She best to make sure I'm all cleaned up, ready to go. Credence got to meet Coach Harper. That is cool. That's very cool. They had picture day today. You could, if you're on social media, you can certainly tell that from all the photos going up. Beth said, I'm planning to go to the Virginia Tech game. That'll be a good one. At least they're coming closer. Donna, who said, Kimberly said, will the Thanksgiving tournament count as Ray's homecoming? Yes, that is right in her hometown. She's from Las Vegas, so you can't get any closer to home than that. And it's nice for her because it's a Thanksgiving tournament, so she gets to go home for Thanksgiving, see her family. I mean, she'll stay, they'll stay at the hotel with the team, but mom and dad are right there. And if you go for a Thanksgiving tournament, you're going to have a big feast at the hotel and do fun stuff. So that's a nice homecoming for Ray. So I'm glad they got that organized. Let me look for my graphics, see if I can find. Yeah, here we go. There's photo day, and I don't know where my background is again. It was working before, and then it went away. I don't know. I have no idea. So y'all get the background of my jerseys and assorted little things. Let's see. You can obviously, that's all 14 players. It's Marta waving from the back. She's probably running off. She's probably just gotten a photo done. That's all 14 of them. It's always good to see them all. Count them all. Make sure they are all there. So they're all accounted for. Really cool photo, too, of the new assistants. There's Joy McCorvey and Samantha Williams. Everybody's all dressed up for photo day. Y'all know that. It is a big deal. Got to get your hair done. Got to get your clothes right. Got to get everything ready for photo day. So, and you'll see these photos, obviously, in the media guide and promotional photos and some of the graphics and things that they do during the games. So it's a big day. It's a big, big day to get photos done, particularly when you got to get new headshots and new team shots. And I saw a team photo of everybody. I didn't find it to post, but I saw it. So that is really nice. I probably should mention our sponsors. See, I need Alexis here. Ooh, I can put them all up at once. That's really easy on me. Collective Unfiltered, of course, is on Monday. ArgentMountainDesigns.com. I'm going to kill Alexis if she doesn't get here back soon. I can't talk this much. The Gold Standard, Jamel Johnson, former Lady Vol soccer player. And talk about soccer. Wow. Nobody's even scored on them. Alexis Hornbuckle basketball, of course, just passed at tutoring. And, of course, Blue Water Climate Control and Tap 40 Grill. More important issues. That's not it, Maria. It's in here somewhere. I don't know where I put it. Anyway, we'll get rid of that one. Here, we're promoting somebody else's show on here. That was nice of us, though. So you can't forget Tap 40 Grill. I have not gone yet. There it is. I found it. I have not gone yet because I am not doing restaurants yet. We're in this little thing called a pandemic still, and we're not doing so well in Tennessee overall, if you've seen the numbers. So I am going to outdoor events like baseball or staying put and still wearing a mask. Speaking of Orange Mountain Designs, I wanted to put this up. It is the 2021 Girls Got Skills Team Building and Tournament Experience. That's coming up October 16th in Maryville. At Maryville Little League, it's on 42nd Street in Maryville. There will be a tournament to my understanding, the teams for the tournament, it'll be girls teams, high school and younger teams who will be playing in. I think they've filled up on that. They're also going to have this team building and tournament experience with other players who could come out. Obviously, Ashley Rogers, Kiki Malloy, part of the new NIL deal, will be participating in that inaugural event with Orange Mountain Design. So if you live around here or you're interested in watching some softball or seeing the players, come out October 16th to Maryville, as we say here in East Tennessee. Let's go back to the chat so I can see what Credence. I wish they would have gave JoJo a home game. You sort of run out of time with that one. mean, she got to play Michigan, but that was in San Antonio, so that doesn't count. Yeah, that's harder to do. I mean, for Alexis Dye, it's easy. You just go to Alabama or Auburn. I mean, either one, but Alabama really. I wanted to jump ahead to the Stanford game, of course, coming in here December 18th, then ETSU on December 20th on a Monday, where all the players all they're thinking about is going home, so they better not overlook that game. And then they come back. They'll be back for a December 27th game on Monday against Chattanooga. That's for those who don't know, Kelly was on the staff at Chattanooga as an assistant under Wes Moore. He, of course, is now at NC State. So it's always good to have it. I like to see in-state programs get the high profile of playing at Tennessee. That is always good. And then, of course, open up the SEC on December 30th. At least it's not New Year's Eve. Seems like they were on New Year's Eve all the time. And then, of course, COVID wiped that out last year. Alabama, that's in Knoxville, though. So that won't be homecoming yet for Alexis. And then immediately go to Arkansas on that Sunday. Then, of course, come home, A&M. Then go to Ole Miss. Then go to Vandy. Then Kentucky and Knoxville. Then Georgia and Athens. Then Auburn at Auburn. And bring Arkansas back. Then all the way to Florida. Then UConn comes in. Oops, now we got to host Missouri. Then host Vandy. Then go to Alabama. Then go to South Carolina. Come back home. Host Mississippi State. Close out senior day with LSU. That is why I love seeing a schedule, because guess what? Here you go. That is when you really realize you're a college basketball player, when you get into that flow of games like that, and you're on the road, you're traveling, you're taking charter flights, but you're landing at 2 or 3 in the morning. That is where the freshmen start to realize, wow, this is college basketball. I mean, it is just night in and night. You got 4 days between games, really. I mean, 3, because you eat up a day with travel and then getting back. And you don't have time you got to get ready for the next one. And there is no give-me game in that SEC schedule anymore. Not a single one. You don't look at any one and think, oh, well, that'll be an easy game. That just doesn't happen in this league. And I do like that Kelly has beefed up this schedule, but also provided a little bit of breathing room at times, because you do want to be able to get players some time. Now, the other teams she's picking, they're NCAA tournament teams. They're winning their conferences or are getting the automatic bid or being a conference bid. So she's done a really good job in a relatively short amount of time of getting the schedule where she wants it. So I think the reaction I've seen, people are pretty happy with seeing the schedule come out. Now people can make their plans for November, December, January, February, March, and April. Leslie, I posted a story, a Kelly Harper interview at the website I write for. It gives a link to download it. There's also, you could probably YouTube it and search it and pop it up that way. You can. There's also a free preview on YouTube. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. It is an incredible documentary that they did with that team. And that is not the story that HBO Sports thought they were going to get. Because I remember when they were getting ready to debut it. And they were coming for the coronation of Tennessee. They were expecting, the Tennessee to come off the 96 national championship. Chamique Holdsclaw still back. This was pre-Tamika and Samika coming in. They thought they were going to get juggernaut Tennessee, and they got this team that struggled big time, as you will see in the documentary. And HBO wanted to pull the plug. They're telling the producers to bail, cut out of there. That's not the story we wanted. The producers fought to stay on it. They said, we got something brewing here. We want to stay on it. There's a better story with what's going on now. They didn't foresee what they did, they just were. If you watch it, it's just an incredible documentary of the inner workings of a team, and what a story they got. But that just shows you how sometimes you have to fight to get what you want. And those producers had to fight to stay on that story. HBO was ready to pull them out. Say, this is what we had in mind. And you got to be able to pivot and realize we may have a better story here. So as you watch it, realize that in the middle of all of it, those producers were having to fight to stay there. Kimberly said, if we ended the Notre Dame series, I don't think it's ended. I just think it's series tend to come and go. And I just think it played out. And then Notre Dame was going to come here, and then the pandemic hit, and I think Notre Dame has added other teams to its schedule. I don't get the impression that there was, anything like we're terminating or ending it. I just don't think it's working out right now. Doesn't mean it won't come back. I know when Holly was here, she's trying to get Duke restarted. I don't know with Kara there if that's something she's interested in or not. Duke just released its non-conference schedule too. So Tennessee wasn't the only one that was late. A lot of schools were coming out with these late, and SEC, of course, released its schedule today, so everybody can see who goes where and when. Denise said, I really need to check the schedule out. I would love to get to Knoxville for possibly a long weekend and try to catch 2 games. There's a possibility to do that. It's harder in the SEC sometimes, but it's a little bit easier with the non-conference because they can be bunched a little bit closer together. So, yes, take a look at it. A lot of people are excited that the Monday game is so close to Monday after Christmas, because people come back home for Christmas, and that December 27th, a lot of people would just extend their so that's a possibility, Denise. I don't know what your travel plans are on the holidays, but you've got Chattanooga December 27th on Monday, and then Alabama is in Knoxville December 30th before they hit the road for Arkansas. So, yeah, you've got some options there. At Stanford, of course, if you came for Stanford game, you got two games very close together. Stanford's on a Saturday, December 18th, and ETSU is on a Monday. And then they'll break for the holidays. So if you wanted to catch them before the holidays. Yeah, Renee said Duke's non-conference schedule was not impressive this year. I agree. I looked at it and thought, wow, that's it's not a lot of Power 5 in there. But I also know that when you're a new coach, and this is Kara's second year, but technically what did Duke play? Just a handful of games before ending last season. When you just come in, a lot of times these contracts are set. You don't have because Kelly had to play out some contracts. So I'll be curious to see if when Kara has time, if she upgrades that non-conference schedule. I would think with the players she's amassing, she got 8 transfers now. She got a starting lineup and a bench out of the portal. So I think it would be probably something, because she played here. She's used to taking on tough opponents. My best guess is that a lot of that she may have inherited, and you got to finish out the contracts. So Renee said a pandemic will have to die down considerably before I travel to a game again. I certainly understand. It's not, we're not doing well in the Southeast right now with new infections or hospitalizations are up. National numbers are starting to look a little better, which is a good sign, but we could use some work in the Southeast. So hopefully, Renee, we will be able to get you up here, I guess, from where you're coming. Karita says, I hope they require masks. Karita, they're not requirement at volleyball that I can see. I mean, when I see the crowd shots, no, I mean, some people are on their own, but I don't see people wearing them in a group, and they're sitting relatively close together. So I don't know. The Tennessee just extended the campus mask mandate that you have to wear them when you're in classrooms, lecture halls, that type of thing, for another 2 weeks. They're evaluating it every 2 weeks, but that only affects the academic side. Any athletic decisions would come from the athletic department. So I don't know at this time whether or not there will be. I mean, certainly you can wear one. I certainly will when I go. And I agree. I want to see our numbers come down considerably, because this is I don't want this disease. Nobody, I don't think anybody actually wants it, and I know too many people who have gotten it. I know some people who have passed from it. It's just, it's scary, and it's disruptive. I mean, I've got a good friend that got it through no fault of her own, and she was vaccinated and is doing well, but my goodness, still sick and still trying to get over it. Yeah, Chatina, are you feeling okay? Yeah, we're sitting here talking about COVID. Yeah, I something was in my throat right before I started this. And I still haven't felt like I got it all washed down. It also has been a long day. I have been chained to this computer since 7:30 this morning, and barely able to get away from it. And it's my eyes are crossed. But I didn't want to skip out on this, even though I can't find any of my buddies here to help me with it. We do have another event. I think y'all know about it coming up with, and I'll get some better pictures here, coming up with Nikki Anasike. The Kendra Scott, probably for those who know, is a jewelry store across the country. There's a Knoxville location in Bearden, 5350 Kingston Pike. And on September 19th from 1 to 9 p.m., they were doing a give back to help Nikki and her family. And Nikki could design her own piece of jewelry, and she selected that bracelet you can see. And I'm going to get a better picture of it. I don't expect you to read that. There'll be a code available online in terms of how to buy it, and 20% of the proceeds will go to Nikki. The Kendra Scott does a lot of these. Did a one for the Pat Summitt Foundation. This is the actual bracelet that Nikki liked. I asked her why she picked yellow, and she said it's such a happy color. And she's happy now because she feels like her babies have made it. And here is Nikki in the store when she went to select what she wanted. And you can see on her wrist, she's wearing it. And there's the little Chalucci and Mez. They turned, I guess, 3 months. There they are. They turned 3 months on September 5th. Obviously, little Chalucci right there on the left. He's still got a little catching up to do. There's Mez, just a growing and a growing. But my goodness, what a difference for Chalucci. He's looking healthy, doing well, and just thank goodness for everything that went right with saving those babies. So if you want to make plans, or if you're around, you want to go see. I'm trying to find out if Nikki's going to be there, and I'll let y'all know. It's September 19th. I believe that is a Sunday. Yes, that should be a Sunday. So that will be something to keep in mind. And if you're not from Knoxville, you can also order online if you want to wear a bracelet that Nikki deserved. She does deserve it, that she designed. There it is again. You can see it a little up closer there. And that will be available to people and in the store and online. Denise says, you're doing a great job as always. Thank you. I don't have my producer here. I've had to upload the photos. I'm just like, where are they? You don't realize how much you need a producer behind the scenes until you're trying to talk and hit all the buttons you're supposed to hit at the same time. Clearly not multitasking well today. Renee said, are you going to be able to do individual interviews with the players this year? and ask your offbeat questions? I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't think that anybody knows what media protocols are going to be. I have seen with football that they're doing in-person press conferences, but there's distance there that, they're in the media room and they're taking fielding questions. I have noticed reporters wearing masks and standing back and asking questions, but that's football and they're able to be outside. So I mean, at the rate we're going, I don't see them opening up us for one-on-one interviews in person right now. But I don't know. I don't think they know. And that's not something they have to really worry about until late October. That's usually when media day is. It could just be Zoom again, or it could be a mixture of both. I would love to be able to do that because that was one of my fun things on media day was just to kind of get to know these players off beat. I was wondering, how am I going to get through 14 players in the allotted time? I have to limit the questions, but maybe if I can't do it in person, I can do it on Zoom and do it that way so y'all can still hear them. Beth said your interview with Kelly was great. She seems to really like this team. Thank you, Beth. She does. And I had interviewed her a couple of weeks ago and was transcribing the tape, and then all the stuff came up with the Hall of Fame and Orange Mountain Designs NIL event. And Labor Day weekend, I'm like, I got to get this done. So I got it done in 2 parts. You can see it on my social media or go to GoVols247 and you'll find the stories, or you find it on Twitter, Facebook. I put it up everywhere. So you could see it there. It was just catching up with Kelly about everything. She does like this team. She likes their attitude. Now, I've always said this, and y'all have heard me say it before. It's easy to like a team in the summer. Though the freshmen all being in and getting in as a group and shooting on their own is a very good sign. But there's no pressure in the summer. I mean, it's summer school. You're not traveling. You don't have, your day is not playing minute to minute. You don't have 6 a.m. workouts and then class and then study. You have very limited workouts. You can only go 8 hours a week in the off season, and that's total strength and conditioning and court work. So it's not anything like the regular season. Where it'll start to separate itself, okay, is how do they do when practice begins? And that's going to be probably October 3rd. There's a fall break coming up. It's very short. They're only off like Thursday, Friday. There's a fall break coming up at the very end of September, 1st of October. And I believe they will come back to start practice on that October 3rd. Okay, now you're going to go 2 hours in practice. And then you got class the next morning. And you may have 6 a.m. conditioning. And then you got to be back at practice. And you're going to go 2.5 hours. Then you got study hall. Then you're back in class. Now you're tired. Now is when it's when the freshmen start to, like I said, they realize it when that schedule kicks in. But how are you going to do when you have a 2-hour practice and you're exhausted and you've got study hall and exams and class alarm going off at 8 o'clock there, even earlier the next morning, and then you got to grab lunch and get back to practice and lift weights? That's where you start to see people separate themselves. And they start to realize what college basketball is all about. I also, Beth, liked her comment about being really picky in recruiting. They are. Kelly has an idea of how she wants to play and the type of player she wants to recruit. And she is looking, she does not want to bring somebody in that she doesn't think has a legitimate chance to compete on the team. And she doesn't want to bring somebody in just because they're 5-star ranked 1, 2, 3 in the country, because they may not fit with what she wants to do. I'm not saying she's not going after top kids. She is. But she's got a very good idea of how she wants to blend a team. And I do like where they're going with 2022. I didn't expect a lot from 2022 when you change assistant coaches in the spring, and not just 1, but 2. They have a lot they have to try to catch up with, but I like the direction they're going. I like the players that they're targeting. Amaya Jenkins, of course, will be next. She's coming in this weekend. She is the guard from Kentucky. Talasia Cooper came in last week. Actually, she came in Thursday through Saturday so she could go to the football game against Bowling Green. And then Kyla Oldacre is going to be here, I believe, in mid-October, like October 10th, or somewhere in that weekend. I think there's a football game. So that's the big girl from Ohio, the 6'5" post. That's very good. And then Justine Passat, of course, is already committed and is looking to take a visit. If she can get down here, work that out where she can actually take an official visit, probably time it to a football game. But as Kelly noted in the article, if you haven't read it, your recruiting is not necessarily done now in November. You get that November early signing class and you're pretty much done. The transfer portal has changed all that because you don't know who on your team may enter it, and you don't know who on other teams may enter it. So the transfer portal just it's roster management year by year. Now, I do think the more successful teams will get a core group of players that they keep. I do think it can be disruptive if you're overturning your roster. Syracuse may be a perfect example every year. I don't see that as a long-term strategy for a team, but maybe some coaches can make it work. And I don't know. I think Kelly would like a more stable core. That doesn't mean players aren't going to leave. I mean, sometimes it doesn't work out for you. It wasn't what you thought it was, or you think you should be playing more, or you realize, okay, this isn't exactly what I thought it would be. I mean, players, you have to be prepared for the fact that you can lose players after every season. You can also bring in players after every season, like Alexis Dye coming in. Alexis Dye is a pandemic player. She played 2 years at JUCO and 2 years at Troy. So technically, that's 4 years. Her eligibility should be done, but everybody got an extra year with COVID, and Alexis Dye was like, this is a great chance for me. I'm going to take advantage of that extra year and go to another school, go to a bigger school. And now she came to Tennessee. So that is a one benefit. I hate to even use that word with a pandemic, but you got some players who, because of their truncated seasons and a bizarre season, who were granted blanket eligibility for an extra year. So here they go. Kimberly said, how many do you think we'll get in this 2022 class? Initially, I thought 2, and I'm talking November, not as you look at the portal. I thought 2 or 3. And obviously we knew Passat. Justine Passat was already there, so everybody knew that was 1. Now, would they get 1 or 2 more players to go with her? So then I thought 2 to 3. Now, then Oldacre, I mean, that changes the number. I could see Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee would take all 4. Whether they'll get all 4, I don't know. Well, besides Passat, so whether they get all of the other 3, I don't know. But I could see Tennessee making a push to get all 4, and then 3. 3. I always hedge it because in recruiting, you rarely get everything you want. So it could be 3. But if I am a post and I'm looking at rosters across the country, I am seeing a wide open place to play post at Tennessee based on their depth and who they've got coming in and who they've got graduating. That is going. I mean, Keegan will be done after this season. Obviously, Tamari will be going in her senior year. So if you're a freshman, Tamari and Emily Saunders will be going into their senior year. So if you're a freshman, you're thinking, man, the only people ahead of me on this depth chart are two seniors. I'm talking the true center position, because Sarah Puckett, Caroline Stripling, they can play 3-4. So Passat can play 3-4. But as a true post player, if you're looking at Tennessee's roster, you are looking at wide open playing time very quickly. So I'll be curious to see what Oldacre does. She's getting a lot of recruiting. I mean, big time schools flooded in on her. Duke, I think Duke may be Tennessee's biggest competition for her. So be interesting to see what she does. But the good news is that Tennessee made up a lot of time with Samantha and Joy coming in here. And that's not easy to do. The 2022s, they essentially had a couple months to recruit them. And recruiting is all about relationships. I'm going to put their photo up again. That's Joy and Sam. They have, take a sip of water. They have done an incredible job in a short amount of time, a very short amount of time. So shout out to Joy and Coach Sam. Because you think about how long you recruit players. You recruit players 2, 3, 4 years in advance. And they've had a couple months to really get to know these 2022s. Tennessee is in on everybody in 2023. I mean, they are in on some top names in 2023. That was probably the class that they were really targeting because they got a full year to recruit them. And Kelly can coach. I think everybody saw that last year. I mean, should have beaten UConn. One missed defensive assignment from beating UConn. And obviously came back and beat South Carolina. Tennessee, until that South Carolina game in Greenville in the SEC tournament, did not get overmatched by anybody. And by that time, Tennessee was limping. I mean, we think now we all realize how hurt Renata Davis's foot was. She missed her whole WNBA season with a stress fracture. So Kelly can coach. That is not in question. She knows what she's doing. She's got a plan. I mean, she talked about how she's already outlining her curriculum for basketball. She's like Pat. I mean, she's getting this stuff done. She's got a plan for what she wants to do every week. The question is, can she recruit? And can she get people to help her recruit? And that's a resounding yes. So if Tennessee can get the combination of getting their recruiting back to how they want it with the coaching ability of Kelly, and Sam and Joy have been a breath of fresh air too. They're very vocal. Kelly described them as very aggressive in practice. They use their voice. You hear them. And that is good because a quiet assistant, you want assistants to counterbalance the coach sometimes, but if you're too quiet, the players don't hear you, and they have connected with the players right away. If they can put those two things together, Tennessee's going to be back probably sooner than people think. And by back, I mean cutting down nets. I think they can compete for the SEC this year. It's a stacked league, and there's some teams that are just loaded coming back. And a Final Four is not. I don't think anybody's predicting Tennessee at the Final Four this year. I mean, you could go out on a limb and say that. So, but I think they will get back to a Final Four quicker than people think, and I think they will cut some nets down quicker than people think. And I just heard back from Nikki. Let's see. Nikki will make it out to the store for that event. That's Nikki Anasike. I'll find out what date and what time. She will be able to come out to the store. So I'll find out when, if people are local and want to be able to see her. Hopefully she'll even bring the little babies over, because everybody knows I've got to see those babies. I've been wearing a bunch of masks, but I got to see those babies. Marianne said, do you believe the Lady Vols are progressing faster than people expected? I do. I do, Marianne. I really do. I think there were people who were wondering about Kelly's hire. I wasn't one of them. I mean, my top two were Nikki Fargas and Kelly Harper. That was it. But I wasn't on the hiring committee, of course. So I'm reading the comments to make sure I don't miss any. Marianne, I really do. I think she's progressing fast. I think we saw that last year. I mean, Tennessee, like I said, was never overmatched in a game. Never looked like never got where the fourth quarter and you're like, man, they're done. You know, there were some games before where you just knew that they're not going to make it in this fourth quarter. But like I said, one missed defensive assignment, and otherwise they beat Connecticut. So I mean, that's big. That's a big improvement in terms of competing at a top level. Now, Connecticut this year that's a loaded team. There are so many. I just keep saying that. There's so many loaded teams. This is a difficult sport now. It is not like when Pat was coaching. I mean, Pat had difficult teams that could compete, but I mean, the SEC, there might be 1, 2, 3 teams that could really challenge Tennessee on any given year. So it's a different environment because you don't sleep on any SEC team anywhere anymore. Kathy says selected to finish second. That was some website thing. I don't pay much attention to those. I never have. I'm always curious to see what SEC coaches and writers predict. They tend to get a little bit closer. I don't know. I think second would be outstanding. I mean, they're wanting to definitely finish in the top 4. And Tennessee was within a couple points of finishing second in the league last year. So I do think the SEC is even tougher this year. LSU will be tougher. That's a heck of a way for Tennessee to end its SEC schedule. Kim Mulkey coming to Thompson Bowling Arena for Senior Day. That'll be fun. So that's a heck of a Senior Day opponent. Those games tend to be bloodbaths anyway. I mean, it's another SEC team that has benefited immensely from the transfer portal. The transfer portal has literally changed the game. Yeah, world exposure or something. Yeah, like I said, I don't pay a lot of attention to various website predictions. I mean, they're fun to talk about. It's just like bracketology when everybody starts. I mean, it's fun to talk about, but I don't put a lot of stock in it. I am curious always what the SEC coaches think. Always curious to see what they're thinking. But they're not always thinking clearly either. Particularly the all SEC teams and such. I probably said enough about that a year ago or last March, so I'll leave that one alone. But I don't know. It can get awfully political with all polls, and I would warn people about that too. It can get awfully political when you start getting into any predictions. There's rarely anybody that's just doing it. It's unbiased and is just is nice as they just like. Okay, I'm going to look at these teams. I'm going to look at who's coming back. I'm going to look at how they're doing, and I'm going to rank them. Usually, people have an agenda somewhere in their rankings. So I say enjoy them, talk about them, don't take them seriously. Any of them. They'll figure it out on the court, thank goodness. Yeah, Kathy, SEC coaches and I've said it before, the SEC coaches aren't real thrilled at Tennessee's resurgence at all. Because Tennessee is still such an incredible school and such an incredible program with such a storied and incredible history. And Tennessee becoming really good again. I mean, Tennessee, it's not like Tennessee's been awful. Tennessee's been competing, and they've been in NCAA tournaments. But Tennessee being really, really good again is not good news for them because that makes their job a lot harder. It makes it harder in recruiting, makes it harder in matchups, it makes it harder in everything. There's not a single SEC coach out there, so maybe the ones that were former Lady Vols, rooting for Tennessee to make it. They don't want that. So, I mean, Kelly's got a lot to do to get Tennessee back, but she's got a plan to do it. And I think I haven't talked to her about it because I can't ask her about specific recruiting until after anybody is signed. But I can ask general questions, and I'm going to ask her because I would talk to Pat about this. The negative recruiting against Tennessee was just wicked. With Pat, I mean, wicked, and because they were so intimidated by her, they knew they couldn't beat her. They couldn't, so they had to take a very underhanded approach to how they recruited against her. And Pat's approach was, here's why you should come to Tennessee. Do this and this and this. She didn't recruit against another team, but I mean, they would just make things up about Pat and recruiting. And I bet Kelly's dealing with that too. And the thing about kids now is it gets back to them. It gets back to the coaches and the kids talk. Because there's so many different, I mean, you could pick up your phone and text a coach or private message a coach or DM in your social media. So it's not like, a coach can't get a text that says, hey, Coach so-and-so just said this about you. Is this true? So I at some point, I'm going to ask Kelly, are you starting to deal with that the way Pat did? Because, I mean, it got ugly. It got ugly. So I will say with great confidence that the rest of the SEC does not want to see Tennessee back. And I'm smiling when I say that because Tennessee's coming back and they don't like it. The hiring of Samantha Williams just like froze people in their tracks. They're like, oh my goodness, Kelly's got one of the best recruiters in the game now. And then you add Joy, an up and coming coach, enthusiastic, qualified, immensely qualified. I mean, she was a heck of a post player at St. John. She was an undersized post player and, held her own when the Big East was the Big East. So it is it'll be fun to watch. But yeah, I always preach patience. Y'all know that. Preach patience with all the give them time. Let the team gel. You still got 5 newcomers, 4 freshmen. I don't put expectations on freshmen. Once they get into it and the routine and the day-to-day challenges of being a college athlete, they don't need any more pressure on them. They give them time to figure it out. But I just realized I think we got another show at 8, so I better get out of here. Thank you for putting up with me as I meandered around the graphics and the chat. I think I got everything. We have a schedule now, so you can plan your fall and winter accordingly. And I do have another question. Was the Lady Vol basketball program the first to have players sign NIL deals? No, Mark, there's 2 twins out at Fresno State, which I think it's Fresno State, but just goes to show you that it's not necessarily who you play for, but what your social media is. They already had an incredibly active Instagram. Was it Fresno State or a school in Nevada? Anyway, they're 2 twins. And they signed a huge deal. It was with the communications, I think a cellular, was it? I don't want to say the one because I'll get it wrong and I'll make somebody mad, but I believe it was a cell phone company. And they signed a huge contract. And that's because their YouTube, their Instagram they just loaded with followers and they already produced the content. Now they can just monetize it. So Tennessee, I think, was one of the first, particularly to have one that was so visible and multiple sports, obviously softball and basketball. So, but for all the players who are thinking about NIL or looking at opportunities, with what I just said being an exception, because those kids had 6 figures in number, or not 6 figures, I think it was 6 figures in number of followers that they already had on social media. The results on the court is what's going to matter. That's going to set you up. It could set you up for some NIL opportunities in college, but it's going to set you up if you want to make a living playing basketball. So you want to do this. You want exposure for you and your brand and your image, but you got to get it done on the court. So you don't want that to interfere or overtake what you're trying to do on the basketball court. And you're still a student. I mean, these kids are still 19, 20, 21 years old. You're still a student. You're still trying to figure out all of that stuff. So it will be interesting to see where it goes. I will read one more comment. They're not even texting. Maybe they're not even doing a show. Top 5, Ashlyn Shade said the coaches at Tennessee are fantastic and included us in her top 8. Yes, I mean, that's one of the 2023s that they're going after. And I noticed when she did that, Kimberly, Justine Passat immediately retweeted about Tennessee coaches. So as you start to get players like Justine Passat and other players that want to come to Tennessee, they start talking to their friends. So it builds on itself. It has a snowball effect in a positive way. Well, y'all have a good night. Maybe next week I won't have to talk the entire time and click all the buttons, and we'll actually have a background and not my We Back Pat and breast cancer t-shirts and a sort of memorabilia. So hopefully we will get that done next week if I can track down my co-host and producer. So y'all have a great evening. I am going to, I think, stop working and get something to eat. I can see myself now. Man, I do look rough. I appreciate Shatina asking if I was okay. It's a good question. And I will get some rest and get some food and see you guys in a week or on the internets out there. Y'all take care. Have a good evening and peace.